Guys, becoming a Swedish citizen, it's not easy. It's a very tough process. It's a tough journey. But then it's going even to be more tougher from next year, 2026. As from next year, 2026, June, the Swedish migration officer actually was saying that Sweden has made it so easy for people to gain citizenship. He actually said that it's actually insane that one can actually gain a Swedish citizenship without knowing one Swedish word, without knowing the culture, the Swedish culture. Now, from next year, you have to wait for 8 good years. Okay, let's assume you come to Sweden 2026, you have to wait for 8 good years. That means you're going to become a Swedish citizen in 2034. Are you ready for the sacrifice? Are you ready for the waiting? Is it really worth it? These are the things that you have to consider if you want to relocate to Sweden. Sweden is one of your bucket list of those countries that you want to relocate to, then my friend, from 2026, game has changed. Even people that have still been waiting for 5 years to become Swedish citizen, I know a lot of people that have done their application until today they have not gotten answers. I know people close to me or people that always come to my email and write me. They say, Kami's channel, what's happening to me? I have applied for my citizenship since 2 years, 1.5 years. They have not responded me. And when you go to the Swedish Migration Agency, what they say that they don't have a particular answer and to how long you have to wait for you to gain your citizenship. So you can imagine it's not even 8 years. Even after your application, you might wait for another 2 years, 3 years. So is it really worth it for you to wait for your Swedish citizenship for 11 good years? Now, this is the new law that will start from next year. And apart from that, a lot of people that always use maybe change country, maybe you are coming from another European country with a permanent resident and you want to become a Swedish citizen, you have to start from zero from here. And normally for you to get a permanent resident in Sweden, I know like people from who come from Italy, when they have their 00 card, most of them wait for 5 years, but now do you know they have made it 10 years? So now even changing countries, maybe you're from Spain, you're from Italy, you're from wherever, and you want to become a Swedish resident, it's tough. It's no longer 5 years, it's 10 years. So Sweden is becoming more tough. And you know what? I can't blame them. Number one, the rate of unemployment in Sweden is so high. Many companies have gone bankruptcy. People do not have jobs in Sweden. As I'm talking to you, there are no jobs. Yes, I know people that have done application for job seekers visa, and I'm like, hey, don't use that route. I have done a video telling people that if you're coming to Sweden with a job seekers visa, my friend, you will have to have enough money in your bank, money that will sustain you for 1 or 2 years, because you're gonna be jobless. I'm not trying to scare you, and I know that things are not always the same for everyone. You might be lucky you get your job faster, but the reality is the rate of unemployment, even the people with their Swedish document, people that can already speak the language, it's already hard for them. Now speak of you that just came to Sweden as a newcomer, you don't know anything about the culture, you don't know anything about Sweden, it's hard. Now let's go back to our Swedish citizenship and the argument that Swedish migration officer Johan Fassel had. He said that Sweden is actually, I think it's the only European country that actually give foreigners Swedish citizenship without them having the knowledge of Swedish language, without them even speaking one word in Swedish. And that is true. We have people that came to Sweden many years ago. Most of them, they are Swedish citizens. They never go to school. They have never worked. They don't know. They just give them. But then who do you blame? You blame the system, because this is how they build up the system. If they would have set the foundation right from the beginning, then we will not be having all this discussion. Countries like Finland, you have to learn the language. You have to understand the language. I think even Italy, before you can get their passport, at least you have to learn the language. You have to have understand the culture. There are certain courses you have to do. for you to gain their passport. So it's not always straightforward. I think even in Germany, you know, the requirements of German language is always there, by the way. Even for you to enter the country, even as an au pair, as a job, certain visas in Germany, they will require you to have German A1 or B1, or I don't know the category. But in Sweden, you can just come in. For example, maybe you're a master's holder, and then after that you get a job, then you get your permanent resident and switch. You get your Swedish resident Swiss citizenship without you having written any written exam of them knowing that, do you really understand the Swedish culture? How does the Swedish culture works? Do you know any word in Swedish? And then, so the Swedish immigration officer, Johan Fossel, was saying that, how do you cope, or how are you going to survive in Sweden if you do not understand the culture and you do not understand the language? Now, this is a foundational problem. This is a very big problem, and I don't know why Sweden always wakes up when it's too late. Sweden is always running when everything has crumbled, when things have fallen apart. Have you guys read this Chinua Achebe's book, Things Fall Apart? Yes, that's Sweden for you. They are always running when things have already scattered. Like, they would have come with this from the beginning. Then maybe would have had good integration. People would have understand the Swedish culture, the language, and maybe the country would have done better. Because let me tell you guys, Sweden is tough. It's just the truth. So if you want to come to Sweden, you have to know that you have to wait for 8 years, and then you have to know that now you have to learn the language, the culture. Getting a job is hard, so things are not easy. And I know that it's not only Sweden that is facing all this migration problem, job problem, economic crisis. It's everywhere. But Sweden, the rate at which they are changing their laws is so rapid. Like, things are just changing like this. So it's very hard, like, to integrate. It's hard for you to come into the system, but we don't discourage people from coming to Sweden. But when you come, you have to know what you're gonna face. You have to be prepared mentally, physically, spiritually, for you to face the challenge. If you come with a job seeker's visa, maybe you get a job, or maybe you get a job offer, you work. Of course, what you can do is for you to start learning the language immediately. So by the time your time, 8 years. By the time you are 8 years reach for you to get a citizenship, then you just write the courses that are required for you to become a Swedish citizen, and the language, so that you don't have to wait again. And like I said, there are people that, even if you have been waiting for 8 years, it's not automatic that they're gonna answer you direct. It's not. Take their time, guys. You can't rush Sweden. Like, they just want to take their time. If you have a case officer that is wicked, oh my goodness, you're gonna sit on your citizenship maybe for 3 years. You're gonna be waiting and calling. He's like, oh, we have a lot of people on the queue. Maybe he or she is just chilling somewhere, sipping her coffee or drinking her tea, or maybe there are other factors that are affecting, the process to go faster, and maybe, and she can't do anything, he or she can't do nothing about, so they just have to wait for the due process. A lot of things goes behind the scenes, and which we don't know, because sometimes they will say, oh, we have a lot of cases. And do you know that last year a lot of people that applied for even their citizenship, many were denied, they cancelled, because number one of the requirements for you to be a Swedish citizen is, like they said, now from next year, June 2026, is 8 years. You must have lived orderly in Sweden. That means no crime. Then don't enter the blacklist. Don't be in debt, because if you're in your debt and you enter Kronofogden, that's what they call it, in the blacklist, financial blacklist, that means you cannot get your Swedish citizenship. And it's not only that, if you don't have your own, like, a first-hand contract apartment, then you can't get that if you're in the blacklist. So a lot of things affect. And remember, guys, apart from that, Sweden is expensive. House rent now has increased. Every year they increase it. Okay, they increase it. The bus card, you know, it's increased. Everything is just to the high end. And remember, they are not increasing our salary. They are not reducing taxes. We still pay 32%, 33% of our income taxes. I mean, and the salary still remain the same. And you know, a lot of benefits are gonna be cut off from Sweden, which is a topic that I don't want to talk about today. Maybe in the next video we're gonna be discussing about allowances that Sweden is considering to terminate or to remove for families. So it's getting tough. So it's between you and your God. It's between you and you. You have to help yourself. Do whatever you can do to be financially stable, as Sweden is not helping. That's just the truth. They are not helping you anywhere. You just to go out there, look for a job anyhow you can do it. I don't know, because even putting job application, it takes, you have to be very, very good. You have to be connected. I mean, you have to be lucky at the moment, because a lot of people are unemployed in Sweden, and the rate of employment is still increasing. Now, talking about you coming to Sweden as a job seeker's visa, waiting for 2 years or 3 years to get a job, then you get a job, you have to wait for another 8 years to get your citizenship. How many years? 8 or 10 years. Now, is it worth it? I want you to consider this and ask yourself, is Sweden worth it? If Sweden is in your bucket list, is it worth it? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I see you in my next video. Bye for now.